Welcome to Psyched for Grad School. I am Ryan Martin, Chair of the Psychology Program here at UW Green Bay.
And I'm Jen Lanter, a professor in psychology and human development.
All right, and today we are going to talk about interviews. It is that time of year when a lot of our students are getting to do interviews for graduate school, and so we're going to start with a couple questions here. So I guess my first question, Jen, is what are some of the kind of do's and don'ts of the interview process?
Sure. So I think it's really important, one of the do's that I would put out there is to know the school that you're interviewing with. Really take time to get to know the faculty that are there, take time to look online at their programs or their labs or the programs that they offer, the types of classes that you might take while you're there. Becomes really important is that you really know. So when you're talking with them and you're interacting with people who are there, it's really clear that you did your research. You knew, you took time to know about them because they want to know about you. But I think it's just as important to show that you're interested in them enough to take some time to get to know them. So that would be probably one of my biggest do's. Mm-hmm. I would say don't be too casual. If I had to say casual, I would say, dress professionally, act and conduct yourself in a professional manner, and be prepared to talk about yourself. That's not easy for some people to kind of toot their own horn, so to speak, but be prepared to talk about yourself and to share who you are, what your experiences have been, and how you're best prepared for that particular program.
Yeah, and I think one thing kind of related to that I'd add is that the interview starts from the minute you get off the plane or get there to the minute you leave, and frankly even a little bit after that, right? Whether or not you send a thank you note and things like that. I think I have seen people kind of drop the ball after the interview by maybe being a little too casual that night, and maybe the students all go out and get dinner afterwards or something like that, and that student's a little too casual at that point, or that applicant's a little too casual and kind of drops the ball there.
So you can have dinner.
Yes.
That's good.
Yes.
That's a do.
Yeah, so that, do those things, but just be careful and remember that the interview is the entire time. It's every interaction you have with them, whether it's via email, phone, the thank you note, all that stuff. So, all right, so second question, if the school is far away, do students have to go there, or can they interview via phone or Skype or some other way?
Right. If you can get there, I would say get there. That becomes so important. This is a place you're going to spend some time, significant amount of time. So you want to get a chance to interact with the people that you would be learning with as best as possible. I think also you would see the environment, you would see the facilities, but again, they're going to get a chance to read you and who you are, and it's kind of easiest to do that in person. Keep in mind that, the cost certainly of a flight might be very expensive, but a lot of times once you get there, you could perhaps stay with a graduate student. I was able to do that when I interviewed at Indiana, where I went to graduate school, and when I got there, then meals and things were taken care of by the department. So, always ask if that's something that's perhaps fundable or reimbursable based on the money that they have. But if you can get there, I do think it's worth your dollar.
Right. And if you absolutely can't, then that I think you can't. Right. There's just no getting around it. But I do think that it's fair to say you've got a better shot if you're able to go there and be there.
It's an investment.
Right.
Look at it maybe that way. It's an investment sort of towards your future and where you want to go. And if you can do Skype's better than phone call, right? So the more personal I think that you can get with them, is really going to show them.
So
sorry.
I would also just mention, I get the sense, and this is anecdotal, but I get the sense that the Skype interview is becoming more common. Like I've had a lot of students who are doing Skype interviews and things like that. So, but I think you're absolutely right. Part of it is about you have to envision whether or not you want to spend the next however many years in this place, and you can't do that unless you go there. So.
No, and I even think about that for jobs. So I interviewed here, and I really liked it, and I liked the facilities. There was another place in particular where you had to lock your door, in your office, like anytime you would just go to the bathroom because it was unsafe to leave your stuff there. I mean, there was things like that perhaps were a little bit uncomfortable. Yeah. So.
And that's something you'd never know unless you were there, right?
And if you do Skype an interview, pay attention to what's behind you.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, don't have a big beer poster behind you.
Yeah, I agree. Now I'm looking behind us to see.
Right. So there's a picture of my husband and a mirror that you need that.
All right.
Pay attention.
So, yeah, no, that's a good point. Okay, so we're going to talk about the part of interviews that I have blown in the past, and that is asking good questions. And I was thinking about this during your first answer about do's and don'ts. And one of the things that researching a school allows you to do is ask relevant, interesting questions about the school. What do you think are some good questions to ask when you were on?
Right. I think one of the most important questions is, where are your graduates now? So what do they do when they're done here? Do they get jobs? Are they placed somewhere? How long are they here? Is another potentially really important question. And then I think it's really important to ask them, what do you think sets you apart from other schools? Why do I want to attend here? Why would I want to go here? Because as much as you are being interviewed by them, they also recognize that there's a chance you've been asked, to attend other places, and they want the best of the best. So, take time to ask them those same questions, and don't just ask a question once. So you might ask it of one faculty member, ask it of another faculty member, ask it as a graduate student, but take some time to gather those answers so that you can make an informed decision about this is a place that you want to go or not go. So that would be really that'd be important.
Yeah, and asking questions is one of those ways to really express that you've done your homework and that you are interested, right? But it's also at the same time it's sort of it's a skill, like coming up with those good questions. That it isn't something that necessarily just comes naturally, and that's when I say that I've kind of blown it in that way before. It just feels like something I'm not that good at. Like questions pop into my head on the way home, instead of when I'm there. And so
you can always follow up with questions.
Right, that is true.
You can't do that.
Yep. And but it's good to just have some in the hopper before you go,
Definitely.
like some prepped questions.
Definitely. And so you might want to ask questions if their answers are not already available online about scholarships or about financial aid. If these are things that are easily accessible online, it's going to look like maybe you didn't do your homework as much as what you wanted. So, so if you want to ask a question about financial aid and a lot of it's provided online, make sure that you're asking questions that reference that you've looked up some of that information. But think about what's important to you. So it could be that the student-faculty relationship's really important to you. So maybe you want to ask the graduate students, how much interaction do you get with faculty? Do you get one-on-one mentoring? How are advisors chosen? Do you get to select somebody you want to work with? And those types of questions. So take what's important to you.
Asking questions you should know the answer to already is on the don't list, right? Like if it's something that's obviously on their website and you ask it, well then that means that you didn't do your homework in advance, and so that's definitely on the don't list.
Right.
So. All right, it is that time. We end every episode with a final tip, and so I'm wondering if you can throw out a final tip for our many, many viewers.
So our graduate school tip.
Yes.
Okay, so what I would tell you based on my own experience is to be patient with yourself. That would be my big tip. Be patient when you apply. And I fail at this all the time, okay?
I like the honesty.
But, be patient with yourself when you apply. Be patient with yourself before you apply, when you're writing your personal statement. Take time and realize all of these are investments in what you're going to be doing moving forward. And when you get to graduate school, be patient with yourself. Somebody once told me the first year of graduate school is like learning to be a graduate student. That you have to learn all of these things about how it works, and so just being patient with yourself and allowing yourself the time to ask questions and get to know the processes at where you're at. So be patient.
Awesome. That is very good advice. So that just about does it for this episode of Psyched for Grad School. Thank you very much for tuning in. I will see you later, and thank you so much for being here.
You bet. Good luck.
All right. Bye.